New polling data out of the great state of New York indicates that something is potentially brewing for the Republican Party. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video today. It is time that we talk about the 2024 presidential election. Because everyone, brand new polling data out of the great state of New York indicates something that not a lot of us really thought was going to happen. The state of New York, according to Siena College, is within 10 percentage points next year. You heard that right. The state of New York, a state that President Joe Biden won by over 23 points. According to this poll, all right, I'm not saying this is going to happen. According to this poll, Donald Trump is only losing the state by 9. And when you include Kennedy and West, he's only down by 7. Even the generic ballot is only Democrat plus 12, which is very similar to what it was last year in 2022. So what's going on here? We're going to explain what is going on. Does this mean anything? And what does this mean for next year's elections? But first, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Guys, just for $1 a month, you can join Real American. This is the best way to support the daily content that we all know and love. So I hope and recommend you join the channel today. Alright, everybody. And again, we're only in October of 2023. We are like 11 months away from the election, so it could theoretically change. Yes, I understand that. But as of now, this polling data indicates that, hey, wait a minute here. This state is far more closer than it was back in 2020. Hell, it's about the same margin that Lee Zeldin lost last year, just a couple points more Democrat. But it's far more impressive because this is a presidential election. Presidential elections are far more different than gubernatorial elections. And while this poll here, which has a sample size of D plus 26, Trump's only down by 9. And before you say, oh, well, the undecideds, look at Donald Trump's number. He's at 37%. That's what Trump got in 2020 in this great state. He's already at 37%. Do you really think that every single undecided will break for Biden? Especially when there will be possibly Cornel West and RFK on the ticket. Do you really think that's going to happen? I don't think so. The fact that Trump's already at 37%, while Biden is at only 46%, that is a terrible sign. I mean, look at the polling data from last year in the state. The worst poll that Joe Biden had in this state was Siena College, the same poll, back in February of 2020, right before COVID struck and when many people thought Donald Trump had an easy, very easy pathway to re-election. Trump got 36% in that poll, but Biden, he only got 55%. So not only is this Biden's worst poll based on what he got, he's only in the mid-40s. Donald Trump, that's the best he ever got. 37% is the highest he's ever polled in the great state. And that's not all. Rich Barris of the People's Pundit brought up a very good point about the shift of support in the same poll, Siena, from September of 2020, just a month before the election, versus now. Here's the shift among voters. Trump's support from 2020 to now, from 14% to 26%. a 12-point shift. 4% to 19% among black voters, a 15-point shift. With black voters, a 14 to 34% shift among Hispanics. That's a 20-point shift. A 7-point shift among white voters. An 18-point shift among women. 8-point shift among those in the suburbs. And guess what? This same poll back in September of 2020, it undersampled Trump's support vastly by 9 percentage points. Listen, it's one thing to say, okay, this poll is just a fluke, maybe they just had a bad sample. When you have basically every demographic shifting double digits towards Trump, with minority voters in particular making a 20, 15-point shift, that's not just a fluke. That's not just a one-off. That is a trend. And we have been noticing for the past couple of years, something's been happening in the state of New York. And I really do think it started when Andrew Cuomo resigned. When he resigned from the position, that's when I think things started to kind of take a shift towards the wrong direction for Dems. Why? Because you get Kathy Hochul in there, and she's been absolutely incompetent as a governor. And you have seen spikes in crime, just a complete disaster when it comes to standard of living, education being a mess in the state. Just all those issues piled on. And then you run somebody like Lee Zeldin, who went to neighborhoods, the first Republican ever to campaign in some of these areas. Guys, this isn't some kind of magical fluke. This is not just, a one-off. You don't see a 10 to 20 point shift among every voter group and say, yeah, that's a fluke, when this same poll back in 2020 understated Trump's support by 9 percentage points. Again, I'm not saying Trump will win the state of New York. Far from it. I don't think he will. I really do not believe Trump will. I mean, you're talking about flipping a state that was Biden plus 25, essentially. Well, that's not all. There's been several polls in the state of New York that indicate the same thing. Right? Not just Siena. Look at this. Survey USA, only Biden plus 12, only 46% of the vote. Emerson College, 47%, Biden plus 7. Survey USA again, Biden plus 5, only 42%, etc., etc. Every poll is indicating that Trump's support is either about the same as it was or slightly higher, while Biden's number has imploded. So just start looking at it, it's like, okay, a 10, 15 point shift. What does that mean? I think, for one, it indicates that the popular vote is within reach for Trump. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's very well possible Trump can win the popular vote next year. And before people say, oh, well, it's going to be like 2020 or 2022 where the shift will be only in New York. Do you really think in a presidential year with far higher turnout, with Trump doing this much better with every demographic, it's only going to affect New York and Florida? It's not going to be as a big shift as, say, like Wisconsin, but there will be some overlap when you're especially doing this much better among white voters, women, suburban voters, etc. This will absolutely be a shift, not just in New York. That's not going to happen, especially in a very high turnout election like next year. However, I wanted to look at, in my opinion, where the biggest impact of this, 15-point shift in New York would be felt the most in. The congressional elections. Yep, the House. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying Trump will do 15 points better in New York, but let's just do a quick comparison, just for argument's sake to show you guys how impactful Trump, even just doing 10 points better in New York, would be on the House map, because the House will be razor thin next year. So, let's just say, okay, in this scenario, Trump doesn't do better in the state of New York. Let's just say he does the exact same as in 2020, about Biden plus 23. Well, for my House predictions, it's usually been we lose 2 of the Long Island seats, Brandon Williams loses, but Republicans hold on to 2 of the 5 House seats. Reason being, Molinaro is in a more Trump seat. It's like Biden plus 2 or 3. He's an incumbent now. While Lawler, yeah, it's more Biden friendly, but the Democrats have a real bad candidate. Plus, Michael Lawler is a strong incumbent. Now, this isn't accounting for redistricting, but it just an example. All right, we're not taking into account redistricting in New York because we don't know how that's going to go. All right, but let's just say that happens, and Republicans gain 3 House seats in North Carolina, with redistricting for sure. Democrats gain the Alabama seat because the mess they have there. Let's just say Don Bacon loses, and Girardi and Chavez DeRaymer loses in Oregon and California. And let's just say Perez loses as well. Well, in this scenario, Republicans would just have such a small House majority. And that's why I'm saying it is absolutely critical for Democrats or Republicans to win 2 of the 5 House seats. Because let's just say, all right, just for argument's sake, let's say Democrats win Michael Lawler's seat. Well, Republicans only have a 1-seat majority. And let us say David Schweikert and, or let's just say Valadao loses. Let's just say for argument's sake, Valadao does lose somehow. Well, which is possible, but Democrats would then have a House majority in this scenario. But if Lawler holds on, well, Republicans would have, even if it's just a 1-seat majority, would have a House majority. But that's not what we're really here for. What would the impact be if Trump does win the state of New York by, or lose only by like 10 instead of by 23? Well, put it like this. I think Republicans hold on to all 5 of the House seats because a 15-point shift statewide would make all of these Trump seats if you just do a straight-up shift. Plus, it would make New York's 18th, which is held by Pat Ryan, I believe. He would possibly lose. Now do you see why this is a big deal? Again, I'm not saying this is going to happen. Like George Santos, for example, let's say he potentially loses. But look at that. We go from a 1-seat majority in the House to Republicans keeping the House. In fact, let's just say a shift happens in Pennsylvania as 8th because it's very close to New York. Maybe they just have some overlap, right? And let's just keep going, all right? Let's just say, Republicans, they pick off Don Davis in North Carolina. That is the key thing, because if it wasn't like that, let's say Democrats gain all of these House seats and Republican or Democrats hold on the Pat Ryan seat, they would have to win 4 House seats in North Carolina, 1 in Pennsylvania, and Joe Kent to win in Washington in this scenario just to get a House majority. That's how critical that is. You're talking about a potential 6-seat swing towards the GOP. That is absolutely a big deal. And if a red wave happens in New York, it's very well possible it happens in, say, Pennsylvania, maybe New Jersey, and would have some overlap, like especially when you look at the demographics, potentially state like Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, etc. That's why this is absolutely insane to think Trump is potentially doing 10 to 15 points better in the state of New York than he is from 2020. Which, that alone could give Republicans a potentially bigger House majority than they do now. But we just got to see what happens. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Thank you so much. Godspeed to all of you.